At a time like this, we can't afford to just say pretty Divrei Torah, because we have a Yom Adin coming, and for us, maybe perhaps in earlier generations, it was easier for them to go into the Yomei Hadin, even though it's described in the Sfarim, the trepidation that they went into the Yomei Hadin with. But for us, in our generation, at least speaking for me and my friends, we even struggle to work ourselves up to the point of healthy trepidation, and sometimes we fall into the trap of being shut down and like almost like just trying to wait for the Yom Noraim to pass and not to take advantage of the responsibility of the Yom Noraim and the power of the Yom Noraim. So as I said, we can't afford pretty Divrei Torah. Pretty Divrei Torah are amazing, but we need to speak Tachlis, what we could do, Tafshin Pei Vav, 2025, how we can connect to the Yomei Hadin. And I'll start with the question that I think many of us grapple with, which is the order of Rosh Hashana before Yom Kippur. Why it is that we stand in front of Hashem B'din and then we start doing tshuva after that. It seems backwards. It would seem to make sense that we should have the days of tshuva leading up to Rosh Hashanah, not leading after Rosh Hashanah. There's a Gemara in Rosh Hashanah that's very, very, very important for us today to go into Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara says on Daf Tes Zayin Amud Beis in Rosh Hashanah, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is done as ha'adam lefi maisav shel oisa sha'a. That when Rosh Hashanah comes, Hashem judges us based on our actions at that time. And the Gemara brings a pasuk. The Gemara says that when Yishmael, we actually laid this on Rosh Hashanah, that when Yishmael was thirsty and sick, and he was crying, it says, Vayishma Hashem es koil hanar ba'asher hu sham, that Hashem heard the voice of the nar where he was. What do you mean where he was? So the Gemara says where he was, even though Hashem knew that in the future he would become a big Rasha, but Hashem only judged him based on what he was then without looking into his future. That's what the Gemara says. Rabbeinu Chananel over there on Daf Tes Zayin Amud Beis brings a Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi brings a different pasuk to say what seems to be the same idea. But the Yerushalmi brings a different pasuk, and the pasuk that the Yerushalmi brings is that the pasuk says, Imzach ata, if you are pure. And the Yerushalmi says, it doesn't say Imzach ha'yisa, if you were pure. It just says if you are pure. Meaning the pasuk doesn't mention what you were before, it just talks about what you are right now. So Rav Volba, in the first Chelik Alei Shor, in the very beginning, he has a short parak there on the Yomim Noraim, and he points out that while the Gemara seems to be saying that Hashem judges us based on who we are on Rosh Hashanah, even if we will make mistakes afterwards, the Yerushalmi adds a level of chidush here, that it seems that HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges us on Rosh Hashanah based on who we are on Rosh Hashanah without looking at who we were. Rabbi say, what? I'll take it. But what could this possibly mean? What the whole point of a Yom Adin is on your actions, isn't it? So what does that mean that the Yerushalmi says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges us on Rosh Hashanah just based on who I am today? What does that mean? What about what I did before? I spent the whole year. Aren't we trying to do tshuva on what we did all year? One more question. Out of left field, if you don't mind. We daven every day, we daven Shemona Esrei. And we know that the brachas that ask for things, for tshuva, for geula, for refuah, for parnasa, all of them end with Baruch Atah Hashem, something that Hashem does. Baruch Atah Hashem, roifei chaylei Amo Yisrael. Baruch Atah Hashem, mevarech Hashanim. There's one bracha that doesn't end with what Hashem does, it ends with what Hashem wants. And that's the bracha of tshuva. It doesn't say that Hashem accepts our tshuva. It says, haroitze b'tshuva. Why is this bracha different? Why is it that every bracha ends talking about what Hashem does, and this bracha ends by talking about what Hashem wants? And to understand this, you have to remind yourself what tshuva really is, what the chiddush of tshuva really is. The Gemara tells us that the actions of a person are like the peiros of a tree. The ratzain, the will of a person, is like the roots of the tree, and your will gives birth to actions. You produce actions. So you think to yourself, I'd like to learn now. That's in the roots. And then you learn, you produced something with your thoughts. Right? You have the ratzain, the willingness to do something, the wanting, the interest in doing something. And then when you do it, your thoughts, mazel tov, they gave birth to an action. Correct? Now, usually, if you pull the apples off the tree, and then you cut down the tree, you didn't do anything to the apples because the apples aren't attached to the tree anymore. Usually, by taking away your ratzain, you can't affect the actions that you've already done. You've done them already. So, if I want to do something and then I do it, and then I say, you know what, I don't want to do it. It's too late. The fruit has already separated from the tree. Am I making sense here? The unbelievable chiddush of tshuva is, as the Mesilas Yesharim says, the mind-boggling chiddush of tshuva is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows us to uproot our actions by uprooting our wanting to do the action. If I clarify that I regret that I did it, I won't do it anymore, and I recognize that it's not a good thing, so I no longer have a ratzain for it, the unbelievable chiddush of tshuva is akiras haratzain, that by uprooting the tree, by uprooting the wanting to do it, ka'akiras hamaisa dami, I uprooted the actions. And this is an unbelievable chesed that Hashem gave us, that we could stand in front of Hashem and say, I know I did it already. I did the Aveira. I spoke the Lashon Hara. I missed the davening. I did that Aveira. But now I'm recognizing that my wanting to do the Aveira is, I'm taking it back. I don't want that Aveira. And by taking away, by uprooting the ratzain, you uproot the actions. Because, as Rav Hutner said so eloquently, he said, if you want to knock on the doors of the Sharei Tshuva, you want to knock on the doors of the world of Tshuva, and you want to enter through the gates of Tshuva, the Sharei Tshuva, into the world of Tshuva, you know what the world of Tshuva is? The world of Tshuva is not interested in what happened, it's interested in what you want. The Olam HaTshuva is an Olam HaRatzain. And that's why when we're talking about Tshuva, we don't say HaKadosh Baruch Hu accepts Tshuva, we say HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants Tshuva. He has a Ratzain for Tshuva, because the language in the world of Tshuva is not about the actions, it's about what do you want. Do you still want those actions? No, I don't want that anymore. Oh, so it's about what you want. When you're in the world of tshuva, it's not about what you did. It's about what you want. And if you declare to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, maybe there was a time I wanted that. But right now, I am cutting down that tree. I no longer want that. Oh, you're in the world of tshuva? We deal in the world of ratzain. Akiras haratzain. So when we praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we praise using tshuva language. Tshuva language is not what Hashem does, it's not the maisa, it's what Hashem wants, because we're in the world of Ratzai. Unbelievable. Rabbi say, before I can talk about what I want when it comes to specific actions, I need to clarify who I really am. And that's what Rosh Hashana is about. Rosh Hashana is not about all the actions. The tshuva on the past we will deal with after Rosh Hashana. Rosh Hashanah is about who am I, clarifying who we are. Imzach ata, are you pure now? On Rosh Hashanah, we stand in front of Hashem and we spend that time of tefillah being the person that we truly, really are. Because the Yetzer Hara hijacks us. And the Yetzer Hara makes us act in ways that's not who we really are. Perhaps there are some of us that have lowered our dreams. We dreamt of such unbelievable aliyah and closeness to Hashem, but because of our mistakes, and because of our difficulties, and because of our journey, we lowered who we are. And that's the tshuva of Rosh Hashanah. The tshuva of Rosh Hashanah is to stop focusing on what we're doing, to stop focusing on how I'm dealing with the challenges of life. That's not what Rosh Hashanah is about. Rosh Hashanah is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let me reintroduce myself. I am a person that wants to serve you. I am being oimed lefanecha b'din. I am presenting myself to you, Hashem. This is who I really am. And you could have had the most difficult year. And your year could have been a roller coaster that would be illegal in Great Adventures, okay? And the ups and downs could be dramatic and overwhelming and frustrating. And certainly we need solutions for that when that happens. But that's not Rosh Hashanah talk. Rosh Hashanah talk is putting everything aside. Who am I? What do I really want? And you know what you're going to find on the unbelievable day of Rosh Hashanah? That if you listen to the deepest whispers of your heart, that if you listen to if you allow yourself to hear your own words in your own mind and heart, you are going to hear yourself saying, Va'ani kirvas Elokim li tov. I want to be close to Hashem. I don't want the Averas. I don't want the distractions. I don't want the confusion. I don't want the sfeikas. That's not what I want. What I want is to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What I want is to be close to Hashem. What I want is to be that person that I came into this world to be. Imzach ata, not imzach yisa. Are you pure now? And that's what I said in the beginning, that we're not here to say pretty divrei Torah. We're here to plan for a very important 2 days that are coming next week. And sometimes we shut down because we don't feel ready. Have you heard that or felt that? We don't feel ready. Or we don't feel like the way we're acting or the place that we are in our Yiddishkeit is preparing us properly for the Yemei Hadin. And what I'm here to tell you is that that's not the job of Rosh Hashanah. The time for that will come. We'll discuss that during Aseret Yimei Tshuva. But if you want to do Rosh Hashanah right, stand in front of Hashem and uncover the person that you are at your purest, at your deepest, at your most yearning self. And when you do that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will say, Ksiva v'chasima tova. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give a good gzar din because you revealed your deepest ratzon. In order to do tshuva, which we will do for another 8 days after Rosh Hashanah, we will do the avodah of tshuva. What's the avodah of tshuva that we just explained? We're going to clarify what we want, right? Because the olam hatshuva is the olam haratzon. What do I want? But to clarify what I want, I first need a Rosh Hashanah to clarify who I am. If I have a netiyah that I'm doing certain averos, so my first step is I need to clarify that's not who I am. That doesn't match with who I am. Then I could spend the days afterwards, leading up to Yom Kippur, saying, well, if that's not who I am, then that's not what I want. So Rosh Hashanah is the deepest ratzon. It's not just the ratzon of individual actions. You will find that we do very little actual tshuva in Rosh Hashanah. There's no al-chetz, there's no vidui, there's no slichas. Rosh Hashanah, we tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I just want your malchus to fill the world. That's what we do on Rosh Hashanah. There are guys that struggle with that. Like, give me more tefillos to say. Like, I want to talk a little. Give me some. Like, where are the tefillos here? And they don't realize the job of Rosh Hashanah is to be the real you. The job of Rosh Hashanah is to try to spend those 2 days as much as you can, just being your authentic self, and your authentic, truest self is the neshama that yearns for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if you could work for the next few days to try to hear that whisper, we're going to say on Rosh Hashanah, we're going to talk about Hashem, that He's Oineh Lachash, that He answers whispers. Because maybe it gets very loud, and maybe the noise in my head becomes very little noisy. The pulls and the pushes and the issues and the struggles. But if you listen to the whispers that are behind it, the deepest ratzain inside of me, the truest sense of myself, it's a little bit like Tkiyas Shofar. The Sfas Emes says that the shofar is just a raw sound. It's like what would come out of your mouth if you didn't turn the sound into words. It's the koil before it's mischalek la'oisiyos, l'tevos. Because the Rosh Hashanah is not about the details. Rosh Hashanah is about that inner cry, that deepest cry inside of us. Or the Tkiyas Shofar is a cry. That deepest cry inside of us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I have a neshama, and I want to live with the values of that neshama. And that's who I truly am. And that's how I fill myself in the tefillas of Rosh Hashanah. Don't feel like a hypocrite, please. Please. Because you're not. You could have had a year where learning was difficult. You could have had a year where Shmiras, from the Yetzer Hara was difficult. You could have had a year where embracing tefillah was difficult. And then you stand there on Rosh Hashanah and you start davening b'kavana, and you bring in several svarim so you can understand all the words, and you try to do the tefillahs properly, and at some point somebody here is going to say to themselves, who am I fooling? This is not where I'm up to in life. And that would be a tragic mistake, because it is where you're up to, because life could be complicated, but Rosh Hashanah is not complicated. Rosh Hashanah is a koil pasha, tkiya. That's Rosh Hashanah. Just the raw, I want to be close to Hashem. Complicated comes after that. We'll talk about that. But for Rosh Hashanah, it's just the raw yearning of a son for his father. The raw yearning of a yid for his creator. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give us all the Yishav Hadas and the joy. That's why there's a joy on Rosh Hashanah. The psukim that the Baal Koirei says when he finishes when he finishes Tkiyas Shofar, one of the psukim is B'shimcha Yegilun Kol Hayom Uvesim Uvetzidkascha, right? Yarumu B'shimcha Yegilun Kol Hayom. They will be gila, they'll be full of joy the whole day. Joy, is that the first thing that comes to your mind about Rosh Hashanah? It should be. Because Rosh Hashanah is not a complicated day. Rosh Hashanah is a day where I reacquaint myself with who I am, and I address the Rabbi Sonnenschein with the purest part of me. What could be a greater simcha? I leave all the complexity aside, and just the raw yearning for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem should help us to be able to touch that joy, and to be able to daven to Hashem with simplicity and with yearning to be close to Him. And if we do that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us the siyata d'shmaya, that He will listen to that tefillah, and He will accept that presentation in front of Him, that I am here, I am being oimed b'din. And then when the days come that we start specifying our averos, Oshamnu, Bogadnu, Gazalnu, the days after Rosh Hashanah, we will have the schus to be able to be oiker the ratzain, because we will have clarified to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to ourselves who we really are. Yashikayach.